The story begins in Hawaii. A man nervously glances around, checking his surroundings, before cautiously approaching a mailbox to post an envelope. But the moment he steps onto the street, a blue van slams right into him. The scene shifts to a Marine officer named James, who's training his cadets to hold their breath underwater. But one by one, every cadet gives up and surfaces. James is furious with their performance. That's when he gets a call from the police. He's shown the body of the dead man. The police have ruled it a hit and run. James heads home and starts making dinner. He casually tells his wife that Walter finally managed to get himself killed. And this is when we learn that Walter was James' father. His wife asks if he at least called his brother in Oklahoma. But James says he doesn't take my calls. The scene shifts to James' brother, a detective named Jonny. His girlfriend Valentina is packing her things and walking out on him. Jonny asks what's going on. Talk to me. But Valentina fires back. So now you want to talk? She's completely fed up with him. Jonny apologizes. Valentina asks if he even knows what today is. It's her birthday. And Jonny had completely forgotten. No matter how much he begs, Valentina refuses to stay. She leaves him. Then Jonny gets a call from James's wife Leila. She tells him his father has passed away. And the funeral is tomorrow. We hope you come. But Jonny says he hasn't spoken to James in 10 years. He hasn't been to Hawaii in 20, so he's good. But right there in the bathroom, 2 men come up behind him and press a knife to his throat. They tell him his father Walter sent him a package. Where is it? Jonny explains he hasn't spoken to Walter since he was a kid. Whatever they're looking for, Walter wouldn't have sent it to him. One of the men pulls open his shirt to reveal a dragon tattoo on his chest, a sign that he's Yakuza. A fight breaks out between them. Jonny takes on both men and beat them to a pulp. Another man bursts in through the door with a gun. Jonny handles him too. Jonny is casually sipping his beer while beating these guys senseless. Then one of them knocks over his mother's shrine. That's when Jonny snaps. He grabs the man's hand and grates it against a cheese grater. He finishes off the other 2 just as brutally. He has a photo of his mother. His father has been cut out of it. Back in Hawaii, Walter's funeral is underway. The Yakuza and Mr. K's syndicate boys are also in attendance. Walter was a private detective who was connected to all of them. James' cousin Nani asks if Jonny is coming. James says no, but then Jonny shows up. The moment they see each other, they start taking jabs at one another, arguing back and forth. The priest has to tell them to be quiet. The governor, Peter, is a close family friend. He says a few words about Walter at the funeral. Following Hawaiian tradition, Walter is laid to rest. Afterward, everyone gathers at James's house. This house used to belong to James's mother. According to Jonny, James never liked him even as a kid. But James says Walter left my mom for your mom, and it broke my family, and I was just a kid. But somehow, things between the 2 brothers are still exactly the same. Over lunch, Jonny reveals that he's not here for Walter. He's here to find out who killed him. He tells James that the Yakuza came to his house last night and tried to kill him. James gets angry. He knew Jonny couldn't come back here without looking for new ways to get himself killed. Jonny says he's not even asking for James's help. James didn't help when Jonny's mom died either. James tells Jonny to step outside to talk. He says Jonny hasn't seen Walter in 20 years, and now suddenly he's here to find his killer. You're just gonna stir up trouble. It's like your superpower. Jonny asks James to trust him just this once, but James says Jonny couldn't even find his own mother's killer. So now he's decided that someone killed his father too. Angry, Jonny storms off to a bar. A man approaches him and says he didn't think even Jonny was dumb enough to come back here. He tells him Mr. K wants to see him. Jonny says hard pass, but the bartender has already slipped something into his drink. Jonny passes out and wakes up right in front of Mr. K. Mr. K tells him the syndicate has a long memory, and Jonny hurt a lot of his guys. Jonny fires back. You killed my mother. Mr. K's response is maybe, or maybe not. He tells Jonny to leave Hawaii immediately. His presence here won't sit well with his men. He makes it very clear. Go back to your home where you came from. But Jonny says I am from here. Mr. K replies, Not anymore. Mr. K marks Jonny's neck with his symbol. He tells him he's giving him just 7 days to leave this place. After 7 days, he won't let him. Jonny wakes up on a beach. Meanwhile, James meets with a detective named Rennert. He wants to see his father's police report, but Rennert tells him he won't find anything in it. The neighborhood where Walter died, nobody talks to cops there. There was a traffic camera at the scene, but it wasn't working. Rennert warns him that now he's got 2 badass sons looking into their father's death, but he can almost guarantee they're gonna end up poking a bear that doesn't want to be poked. James replies, "I am the bear." James collects Walter's belongings from the police station. Among them is a paper slip with several words written on it. Jonny arrives at Walter's house, but he hears someone else inside. A young guy is searching through the place. The moment he spots Jonny, he bolts. Jonny chases him down and catches him. His name is Pekka. Turns out he used to work for Walter, doing things like hacking, tapping emails, tapping phones. Jonny asks what the last thing Pekka did for him was. Pekka says Walter told him to get a job at a catering company, but he has no idea why. Jonny tells Pekka that from now on, he works for him. James notices there's a bar with a camera right where Walter was killed. He goes inside and asks for the CCTV recordings, but they flat out refuse. James offers money. They still won't budge. So James says the cash is for the damage. Meanwhile, Jonny discovers a blueprint hidden inside a surfboard at Walter's apartment. The scene shifts to a rally for Governor Peter. Nanny works as his assistant. Jonny calls her and says he found some plans or a survey with a government seal on it. But he doesn't know what it is. Nanny tells him she can access the database when she gets back to the office. She just needs the 8-digit number written on the plan. That's when someone breaks into the apartment. It's James. Jonny asks what he's doing here. James says the same thing as you. He shows Jonny the CCTV recording. The blue van had no license plate, and it's crystal clear this wasn't an accident. It was deliberate. Jonny asks Pekka for a list of events from catering company. The 2 brothers climb into a car, still arguing, and drive off. That's when another car slams into them. A man inside the other car fires a gun into the air. James shoots him. Jonny jumps out of his car. He returns fire from outside. James climbs onto the roof of his car and leaps onto the attacker's vehicle. Jonny yells at him to jump off. He blows up the attacker's car. Jonny calls 911 to report the attack. James loses it. "You blew up my car." Jonny fires back. "But I saved your life, man." Rennert tells them those were 4 Yakuza hitters they just turned into toast back there. Rennert also reveals that Jonny isn't even a cop right now. He's a suspended officer. James hands Rennert the CCTV video. Rennert gives them a final warning. This kind of thing better not happen on his island again, or he won't let them off easy. Later, Nanny tells both brothers what she found out about the plans. They were for a property on the east side of the island. They were commissioned by the Robichaux firm. Marcus Robichaux is a big developer. Walter may have been working for him. James says Robichaux is building a casino. There's a casino marking on the back of the blueprint, and that makes no sense because gambling is illegal here. The next day, the 2 brothers head to the property. A Hawaiian community is living there. James asks who owns this property. The people tell him this land belongs to all of them, and everybody is welcome here. A woman explains they're living here to fight for what's theirs, to protect this land. They know people will come to take it from them. That's why they're standing guard. Then Jonny gets a call from Pika. The police found a blue van on the beach. The driver was a low-level accountant in the governor's office. Someone dumped both the van and the driver into the water to destroy the evidence. Jonny looked at the list of all blue vans on the island. He tells Pika to dig into Hayashi Imports. It was the only Japanese name on that list. The scene shifts to an event at Robichaux's house. Pika is already there, posing as a waiter. Soon, Jonny and James show up dressed as waiters too. Pika tells them to stay away from each other, because together they look like the Rock's twin sons. Jonny follows a woman through the crowd. He starts flirting with her. That's when he learns she knew Walter. She had no idea he was dead. This woman had hired Walter to look into her husband's activities, and her husband is none other than Marcus Robichaux. James runs into a Japanese man. His business card says Hayashi Imports. James tells him he knows they misplaced a blue van. Meanwhile, Monica reveals she's getting a divorce, and without some leverage, things won't go well for her. Meaning Marcus won't let her walk away alive. Monica says it's not safe to talk here. She tells Jonny to come see her tomorrow, back with James. The Japanese man says the frog never looks both ways when crossing the street. He's talking about Walter. That's when the man's phone starts ringing. Marcus's men approach both Jonny and James and escort them to Marcus. They tell him they're Walter's sons. Marcus says he paid Walter in full, even gave him a bonus. Jonny asks, "You hired Walter?" Marcus explains he suspected his wife was cheating on him, so he had Walter tail her. Jonny starts toying with a grenade sitting on the table. James notices a set of severed fingers on the table. Jonny and James leave the place. Marcus picks up a photo of his wife and mutters, "Now what have you done?" A short while later, Jonny sees that Marcus's wife has fallen from a building. She's dead. Jonny is furious. He storms straight to Marcus's house and starts fighting his guards. But the guards quickly overpower him. They tase him and drop him to the ground. Jonny tells Marcus he knows he killed her, and his dad too. But Marcus tells his men to call the police. Jonny is arrested. Governor Peter shows up and says Marcus has dropped the charges at his request. Peter tells Jonny that Walter had a darkness inside him, a darkness that caused him to destroy everything good in his life. And that same darkness lives in Jonny and James too. But the two of them have something Walter never had: a brother. The moment Jonny gets out of jail, James lays into him. You can't just do whatever you want. Doing these things is not going to bring your mother back. Jonny starts swinging at James. At first, James just blocks his punches. But when Jonny doesn't stop, James hits back. The two brothers fight like enemies. James beats Jonny down hard. He asks, "What is wrong with you?" Jonny fires back. "What type of man abandons his little brother when he needs him the most? You sent me away." But James says Jonny was going to prison. The syndicate was going to kill him. He saved Jonny by sending him away. He tried to protect him. It was the only way. Jonny says after his mom died, James was all he had left. In this fight, all their buried feelings come pouring out. James apologizes. He says he's Jonny's big brother and he gave up on him. If he could, he'd do everything differently. James asks Jonny why he's chasing this so hard. Walter wasn't any kind of father to him. Jonny says he never found the man who killed his mom. And now someone killed his father. So now both brothers will hunt for their dad's killer together. But before they can move forward, James's wife loses it on both of them. She demands to know what this is all about. That's when Jonny gets a call from Valentina. She went back to his place to get her stuff, and she found a package that arrived from Hawaii. Inside is a thumb drive. Jonny tells her to bring the drive and fly out to Hawaii, but Valentina refuses. Jonny somehow convinces her. Jonny, Pika, and James pick up Valentina from the airport. Jonny takes the drive from her. They discover the thumb drive is a key to a cold wallet. To open it, they need a seed phrase, 12 random words that only the account holder would know. James pulls out the slip of paper from Walter's belongings. It has the 12 words written on it. But right then, gunfire rains down on them from a helicopter. They scramble to escape. Valentina takes the wheel. The helicopter opens fire without any regard for the other cars on the road. A group of armed ninja bikers joins the chase. Their car drifts and turns over. Valentina has to drive it in reverse. When she slams the brakes, two bikers crash straight into the car. One biker ends up inside the vehicle. James fights him off. Jonny takes on the other biker. Valentina manages to turn the car back. One biker ends up hanging off the side. She pulls the car close to the road barrier and scrapes him off. James throws the other one out of the van, but the helicopter is still on them. Jonny fires blindly into the sky. James takes his time and aims carefully. The helicopter spins out of control and starts going down, but it's heading straight for their car. Everyone barely makes it out alive. Pika finally accesses the cold wallet. Valentina looks at the data and says, "These are international wire transfers." $12 million moved through several offshore accounts into a single account belonging to Governor Peter. James and Jonny are stunned. It all starts to make sense. Marcus needs Hawaiian homelands to build his casino resort, and he needs someone who can legalize gambling, so he buys the governor for $12 million. Walter must have stumbled onto this while tailing Marcus. Meanwhile, Nanny shows Peter the plans Marcus had drawn up. Peter promises he won't let this happen. Back at the house, Jonny and James arrive home. James calls his wife, but her phone vibrates right there in the house. James searches for his kids. He finds them hiding in the bathroom, terrified. His son tells him they took her. James hugs his children. Marcus sends them a video showing that both Nanny and James's wife are in his custody. He makes his demand: hand over the thumb drive in exchange for their lives. James and Jonny load their guns into a bag. They storm Marcus's house, taking down guards as they push their way inside. One by one, they silently eliminate the guards without alerting the others. When the guards hear a car alarm go off and move toward it, they're all picked off from a distance. Jonny and James leave a trail of bodies behind them. Inside the house, Marcus notices his outside guards aren't responding on the walkie-talkie. The lights start flickering. The guard sent to check on the lights finds the pool filled with dead bodies. Jonny comes up behind him and takes him out. Marcus sends Nakamura and his Yakuza members to deal with Jonny and James. James charges straight at all the Yakuza members at once. He takes them down one by one. He starts beating one of them with a hammer. Jonny has to step in and stop him, telling him the guy's already dead. Jonny and James free Nanny and Leila. Leila tells James to go. She says they'll get out on their own. She wants him to back up Jonny. Nakamura opens fire on James. The two of them go at it. Jonny cuts off Marcus before he can escape. Marcus sneers that killing him is harder than killing his father. They start brawling. On one side, James shatters Nakamura's bones and finishes him off. But Marcus gains the upper hand on Jonny. He taunts him. "Did you really think you could stop me? You're just a mosquito. In a year, his casino will be built, and no one will be able to stop him. Your father, you, and James will all die for nothing." That's when Jonny holds up the pin from Marcus's own grenade. The grenade explodes. James dives into the water to save Jonny. He pulls his drowning brother to the surface. Jonny survives. Governor Peter is arrested, and that's where the story ends. Comment what you thought of this explanation. And that's a wrap for today's Rewind. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to Cinewind, and turn on notifications so you never miss another deep dive into the worlds of movies, series, and anime. Got a film, show, or hidden gem you want us to cover next? Drop it in the comments below. We read them all. Until next time, keep watching, keep wondering, and let the stories live on. This is Cinewind, signing off.